Hey everyone, so I'm going to go over this question. It's an IB Paper 1 Part A exam style question. Remember, this is a 10-mark question, and you should aim to respond to this question in about 30 minutes. So the question is, using a diagram, explain how the production possibilities curve model, PPC, illustrates the concepts of scarcity, choice, and efficiency. I'm going to be talking about how I would structure an essay or a model answer in response to this question. So I explained this in a previous video when I talked about how to structure a Paper 1 Part A 10-mark question, and I use this acronym DEDU. D stands for Define Key Terms, E stands for Explain Relevant Economic Theory, D stands for Draw a Diagram, and then the U is basically show that you have understood your understanding and that you have addressed the specific demands of the question. So how would I begin the essay? I would start by saying something like, in order to fully address the demands of this question, a few key terms need to be defined. In my opinion, you need to define the term production possibilities curve, the term scarcity, and the term efficiency. Choice isn't really a word that's unique to just economics, but scarcity and efficiency are very sort of economic key terms. So I would write something like, the production possibilities curve is defined as blah, 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 blah. Scarcity is defined as blah, 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 blah. Efficiency is defined as. This would be your introductory paragraph where you basically show the examiner that you are going to define these key terms so that when you refer to them throughout the essay, the examiner knows that you have understood what these key terms mean. Then I would basically draw the diagram. It's helpful to draw the diagram early on in the essay so that as you're explaining and responding to the essay, make sure you're always referring back to the diagram. So I always tell my students, make sure your written explanation refers to all points labeled on the diagram. Here I have good X, good Y, I have point A, point B, and point C. And I've given the diagram a name, figure 1. It's useful to give every diagram a name because sometimes in an essay you might need to draw two diagrams. So instead of referring to them as the first and the second diagram, give one the name figure 1, the other one the name figure 2. It makes it easier to refer back to it. So I drew the diagram and then I said something like, figure 1 shows a PPC for a hypothetical economy that can only produce good X and good Y, and so and so and so. The PPC illustrates the concept of scarcity because it shows so and so and so. This is demonstrated in figure 1 by, make sure you come back to the diagram, and then the next paragraph. The PPC illustrates the concept of choice because it shows so and so and so. This is demonstrated in figure 1 by, and then come back to figure 1 and talk about how figure 1 shows the concept of choice. The PPC illustrates the concept of efficiency because it shows so and so and so. This is demonstrated in figure 1 by. The point is, you'll notice in every paragraph I'm coming back to figure 1 and I'm making sure that I've explained all aspects of figure 1. Okay, so how does the PPC show the concept of scarcity? Well, the fact that there is a limit to how much of good X and good Y the economy can produce is because of scarce resources. If there were no scarce resources, if there was no scarcity and resources were unlimited, then the economy could produce an unlimited amount or combination of good X and good Y. Am I correct? So that's kind of the idea. The fact that there is a limit to how much of good X and good Y that can be produced, this illustrates the concept of scarcity. How does the PPC illustrate the concept of choice? Well, say the economy is producing at point A. This is a combination of good X and good Y, and the economy decides to increase the production of good Y. So move to, say, point B, from point A to point B. Well, that choice, moving from point A to point B and increasing the production of good Y, will require sacrificing some of good X. There's a trade-off, right? So the economy is basically making a choice, and each choice involves a trade-off. Increasing the production of Y, choosing to increase the production of Y, involves a trade-off, which means less of good X. So this is how the PPC illustrates the concept of choice. Well, how does the PPC illustrate the concept of efficiency? Well, that's why I have point C, which is inside the PPC. Remember, all points on the PPC mean that resources are used efficiently and they are fully employed. So point A and point B are combinations of good X and good Y, where resources are fully employed and they are used efficiently. But any point within or inside the PPC is either due unemployment, some resources are not being employed or not being used, or inefficiency. Maybe all resources are employed, but they're just used in a wasteful or inefficient manner. And this is how the PPC shows or illustrates the concepts of scarcity, choice, and efficiency. This brings us to the last paragraph, which is actually quite important because this is how you show that you've understood and addressed the specific demands of the question. Just write a short conclusion and make sure in your conclusion you refer back to the question. You basically borrow a part of the question and state it without sounding too repetitive. So I wrote something like, to conclude, the PPC illustrates the concepts of scarcity, choice, and efficiency because it whatever, blah, 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 blah. I came back to the question and I crafted a conclusion paragraph based on that question. Please feel free to comment, feel free to subscribe, like this video. If you have any questions, just leave them in the comments. If you'd like to practice writing this essay and you want some feedback, you can definitely leave a comment or shoot me an email and we can see what we can do about that. Thank you very much and I hope you found this useful.